Good afternoon, everyone. I am here to do your weekly forecast, and today we start off with the summer solstice. The summer solstice is, where the earth is tilted closest to the sun at one of its poles. It happens twice a year. And one is being tilted furthest away. So we have the winter and the summer solstice. And it's the longest day of the year as well. This occurred early in the morning hours for us, around 2:16, I believe. And it's also whenever the sun is at its highest point in the sky in the Tropic of Cancer. So in the Cancer zodiac. So lots of cultures have, celebrated this, even in ancient times with the Egyptians and the Mayans and everyone. And this has always been a time about birthing, which is very in alignment with the Cancer archetype. So we can think about it as a way of, in spring we planted seeds, and now we get to see these seeds birth from the ground and become strong and reliant on self. So this Cancer archetype is something that's going to be felt, and the dynamics are going to be worked on throughout the entire month. And it's definitely about the archetypal nature of Cancer. It's part of the water trinity. It is the first sign in the water trinity, and it's cardinal, so it's getting something started. You can think of cardinal water through Cancer as the river flowing, but it can get frozen or stuck sometimes, and I'll go into that in just a second. But I think it's good for me to mention the Cancer archetype in general and to kind of go into it, so that way we know, as the sun is traveling through this sign and we're embarking a new journey, birthing, starting today, and it's been in the works for a while. But the seeds that we planted back in April up until now, we're going to start to have this birthing process of it. So I want you to think about all of the things that have been happening to you since April up until now, and keep that in mind, because the energetics for this week are going to bring them up as a way to birth them. So that way there can become an emotional reality within that. I say this because we've had a lot of Taurus and Gemini energy, and also with, just where the nodal axis is transiting right now, it's good for me to speak on this. There is a lot of work that's been going on to internalize our external reality, with Venus having been moving through the sign of Taurus and its ruler, and working on the relationship with self. So all of these dynamics, what your values, your morals, your ethics, what gives meaning to you, have all been brought out over the past few months for a lot of us. And there's been this analytical nature of it, and that's so it serves a purpose. It's so that way we can, it's like the pieces of the puzzle, starting to put them together. And there's been this remembering on a soul level of who we are, that is not conditioned by our family or who we think that we need to be, but really grounding and rooting oneself in to relationship with self. With this solstice and the sun being in the sign of Cancer this next month, the birthing of all of those seeds that were planted is going to happen. And this is a time to work with your emotional body. We do not evolve through analyzing. We evolve through feeling and the emotions. It's our moon, you know, the day-to-day, moment-to-moment. I like to tell my clients, you gotta feel it to heal it. And so this is like a time of being able to really feel and jump into that river, you know, of emotion, to rebirth and to cleanse oneself, because the Scorpio is gonna pull in with that south node there, and it's also part of this water trinity, and we've got Neptune and Pisces holding the, you know, the last. So there's these deep lessons in working with our emotions as a way to birth a new identity that's really not new, maybe new to us in this life, but it's more about a remembering on a soul level who we are. And so with the archetypes of Cancer, there can be a lot coming up for some of us around gender roles and norms, and how you identify with that. There is, for some of us, especially if we have strong 4th house or Cancer placements in our chart right now, it can feel like these situations in our external reality will trigger and throw us back in on ourselves as a way to emotionally deal with it. And it can bring up triggers from childhood revolving around not having needs met. And so with the polarity of Cap right now happening, pulling from the solstice, and Pluto there's a need to take responsibility and understand that some of these dynamics are teachers, and they're teaching us how to really naturally express the Cancer archetype of being able to emotionally take care of oneself, of not needing any type of external validation, to learn how to internally validate oneself, to meet one's own needs. There can be a lot of this happening and a lot of triggers that get birthed as a way to force us to deal with the emotional content, so that way we can evolve. So Venus right now on this day is in the last degrees of Taurus, which is where there will be dynamics coming up for us to work on that happened around the Mercury retrograde. Because when Mercury retrograded back into Taurus, for going direct again and going back into Gemini, Venus is passing over these same points that Mercury was at. And so there's something that is wanting to be investigated and expressed and to look at as a way to birth whatever emotionally needs to come from that. But this can be expressed through, you know, art or anything like that. That's very Mercurial and Taurian. So I don't want to just say something and it feel like, you know, I've botched something into some generalized category. So I want you to know that it's whatever is relative and true to you as a way to express. So on Wednesday, the moon is in Aries. Let me go back to the solstice. The ruler of the solstice is the moon, and it's in Aries, and that further demonstrates that there's some type of kind of identity coming about that we're wanting to work with, a remembrance. So moon in Aries can be about a self-identity, or sometimes an identity crisis. Who am I? I don't even recognize me. And so it can be the star cardinal kind of hitting the ground running to discover that. So this can show up in all types of ways, and I wanted to mention that. So tomorrow, on Wednesday, the moon in Aries is going to conjunct Chiron and Mars. And Mars is all about, it's like the co-ruler of Pluto. It's about our self-reliance, our desires, and that emanate from, you know, our core, from our being. And Chiron here can be about feeling powerless, or maybe overpowered in the past, and so feeling like you couldn't exist as whom you were. And so there's a need to dig into this. Like, this can show up in a plethora of ways as well, but when the moon conjuncts this with all of these, you know, dynamics at play right now, this really speaks to a conjunction as an integration point. It can be what is considered a hard aspect, just because, like, when there's integration, that means that it's new, it's never happened before. So, like, there can be this fear of change, and so there can be resistance, which is also a Mars dynamic. So whatever comes up for you throughout this week, the key is to learn how to respond and not react. Like, that is a natural expression of Aries. It's very instinctual, and there is a freedom and independence that we are wanting to have, a lot of us, in order to discover whatever it is that we are on a soul level, these core dynamics that each one of us is individually working through. So on Thursday, the Sun in Cancer is going to trine Vesta in Pisces. And I think that this is a really beautiful, aspect between beautiful archetypes. So they're both in water signs. The Sun being in Cancer and being ruled by the moon, and then Vesta's in Pisces, ruled by Neptune, who's in Pisces right now too. And Vesta is known, she's a moon goddess in her own right. She also, you can look at the Vestal virgins and how patriarchy kind of distorted these things, but intrinsically this is about our spirituality and like self-evolvement and growth, and it's about keeping the sacred flame alive and devoting oneself to those things, to evolve, to essentially spiritualize. And so this trine between Vesta and Pisces with the Sun in Cancer is really like this point of maybe some like really ancient, in this lifetime and others, whatever you believe, something kind of information is kind of bestowed upon you. Even if it's just pure intuition or like a flash of something, like the key is to discern what that is. And there's a lot of discernment needed, but it's something that's going to help us get into our emotional body, to teach us and to show us, it's beautiful, that we are connected to something bigger that's here helping us out. And that all we have to do is to look around. That's very generalized, but I think you guys catch my drift. So just know, like, on this day, Thursday, like, there's some good energy coming about, and it's really like this would be a great day to do a ritual of devoting oneself to self-growth or self-improvement. Be a great day to take like a cleansing Epsom salt bath, light incense, candles, and just really get into, let things wash over you that need to wash over you, that maybe you've been resisting, or get in touch with where maybe you had naivety, and you know, now you're learning a huge lesson in discernment. Like, this is a day to get in touch and to nurture oneself, because there you're going to find wisdom that is coming from you, emanating from you, and it's a time where forgiveness of self from choices that we might feel ashamed or guilty or wrong about can, you know, come up, and we're able to like cleanse those and give ourselves grace. It's a day to really get into the emotional body, you know, and give yourself like a self massage. Touch would be a great thing on this day. Just get into that. I think that that would be a beautiful day to work with the energetics of whatever is coming up for any of us. And it would be, you know, almost kind of a sacred day, kind of feel to it, personal, sacred, like sovereignty, you know, to get us back in balance with that, and back in balance with the emotional body. And on Friday, Pluto is in an out of sign trine with Venus. That is in Gemini at this point. And this is really a need to disseminate and express very much, like even like choosing to see things from another person's perspective could give objectivity. Taking responsibility of one's sovereignty and own needs, expressing things through art, getting in touch with like these deep-seated conditioned things from society and family and where they might be being triggered. This is a great day to really like kind of excavate some of this out. And Saturday we have the moon conjunct Venus, and so this is beautiful energy of really like going back to like seeing something from someone else's perspective. This is a day that that could actually like really happen. And that doesn't mean like, oh, I see their perspective and so I'm wrong now. This isn't about like winning or right or wrong. This is about common humanity. And this is a day where that lesson can be birthed and revealed. So really choosing to, you know, be open to whatever comes about. And then on Sunday, we have Saturn in Aquarius, sextile Mars and Aries. And so something could come up for some of us to work on. That could be kind of triggering of like a crisis in action. There can be a want to resist because of familiarity or something. And so this is a day where action is needed and to be responsive and not reactive. This is definitely kind of like a doorway through to work through some stuff kind of vibe, I feel. So I think I'm done with my spiel for this week. I just also want to say, just a side note, like on this day, I get on social media, right? It's the summer solstice, it's Cancer energy. Do you know how many of you guys I saw rescue animals or find wildlife rescue today? Like, tell me that is not like a Cancer solstice. Like, people are getting in touch with their, you know, inner mother. And that is when we do that and we're able to do that like for ourselves, we become self-identified with who we really are to the core. And that's when we don't need the external validation anymore, because we're just doing things that are true to us, that are nurturing, and like that doesn't discriminate like gender, sex. I just want you guys to like look around. Like, I always think it's fascinating, like the archetypes of whatever is playing out in the sky are like, I see them everywhere. And so today was a day I saw it everywhere, and like, you guys go, like, I love that. So I want you guys to have a good week. Next week we have, you know, a oh gosh, new moon. Is it a new moon or a full moon? I don't know. Me, the astrologer, I should know. But I'm kind of out here in my own zen, so I hope you guys have a beautiful week, and I will talk to you soon. I might give a midweek update on Saturday or something. Who knows? We'll see. Have a good week, you guys. Much love.